you're already familiar with your own natal chart and you kind of know how to interpret it, you can check on aspects like Sun and Pluto aspects typically denote father issues, because both of these planets can create power struggles. And as children, the best way to identify power struggles is going to be within the household. So you're not going to have too many external experiences outside of the home that are going to introduce some of the critical themes associated with daddy issues. It's usually going to come from power struggles and over authoritative father figure or abuse, or any of those themes are going to be directly coming from within the home. So the fourth house, the 10th house, you can also check to see sun, moon aspects that denote domestic issues or conflicts between your mother and father that would have created daddy issues, and has to do with your sense of security, your sense of comfort, your sense of protection, your sense of stability. The father has everything to do with our foundations. So by checking to see where you have Sun and Saturn aspects, this can also shed light on where you're going to have challenges with the father, or how the father energy is projected in your life. Saturn is very restrictive and authoritative, and it's the disciplinarian of the zodiac when it comes to planetary influence, and it can be very restrictive and limiting. So the father would a lot of times reflect that theme if the father is present and you didn't lose your father early on. If that's not what triggers your your daddy issues because you lost your father, then it could have to do with other themes associated with abuse or neglect or rejection, or a host of things. It's different for everybody, but certainly it's going to manifest in our relationships, and this is where we feel the wound the most, is in our relationships. It's going to start with your relationship with yourself. So if you didn't feel secure, protected, stable in your home early on, usually we look to the father to create that environment or sense of security for the family unit. So if you didn't feel that growing up, you can really worry about that. That can become a complex for you, where you constantly fear your partner is going to be either inadequate or abandon the relationship and leave you feeling very vulnerable and exposed. You may have fears about your partner failing to protect you in some way. You'd rather your partner not try and even get close to you because you have fears that they're going to fail you or fall short in some way. So this, again, is how daddy issues can and do manifest in our relationships as adults. But that relationship with ourselves is the most critical, because that's who we're taking into our relationship. The inner child, the soul that we live through, and how we're carrying out our life. This is the soul we're carrying into our relationships. So if that soul is very distressed and wounded and broken and tired and just filled with so much resentment or bitterness from childhood trauma or bad relationship with the father, then obviously this would need to be resolved before you can step into more harmonious and comfortable and fulfilling relationships. So you may be attracting partners who really abuse you in some way, whether it's verbally, psychologically, or physically abuse you, because subconsciously you keep attracting men or women that somehow remind you of your father, and that they can be very restrictive or overpowering, or you're attracted to somehow physical abuse or psychological abuse. And you need to address this within yourself, that the daddy issues that you feel you have are you somehow perpetuating the issue within yourself by reliving and recreating an environment or relationships that reflect the very thing that you disagree with, or that you didn't like about your father, or that really scarred you in a way. So you don't want to keep revealing the wound every relationship you enter into, but not take any steps to allow it to heal and to really do the work. So this is key here, that we're doing the work. If you're already coupled and in a relationship, are you doing the work together? I know for me, it took quite a while to not only open up more about whatever my daddy issue was, but I had to stop using daddy issue as an excuse in my relationship. Like, oh, my father didn't do this, or my father didn't call me back, or my father didn't, even though it hurt and I really had true and deep emotional wounds associated with my relationship with my father, I understood that this can no longer be a cloud or a thorn in my flesh, or it can no longer anchor me to the past and anchor me to old drama and old pain. Like I'm ready to let it go already, so that in my relationship I'm a whole woman. I'm not fragmented and broken down and bruised by the relationship from my early youth or with my father or any person for that matter. So we all have to take the initiative in doing the healing by assessing what is the daddy issue and how is that affecting and impacting my relationship. If it does have to do with deep psychological abuse or physical and sexual abuse, you may need to seek out additional help or therapy or counseling to resolve the issue. So be honest with yourself. Be real. It's one thing to enter in relationships and pretend everything's fine, and then that daddy issue comes to the surface. And it's a whole other thing to just keep deceiving ourselves into thinking we're normal, we're okay, we're happy, we're peaceful, we're great. And not to say that if you have daddy issues, you're not normal. I'm just saying it's no need to disguise or hide when you've got wounds that are really already surfacing and showing their ugly head in your relationships. Can't hide it anymore. So this is a time when you admit or accept what it is. If it is associated or it's triggered by abuse or things from the past that you can't quite put your finger on, start the process and start doing the work so you can transcend it already and be set free and be able to move on and evolve and progress and no longer be weighed down. Even if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s and you're still dealing with pain from your youth, or some issue you had in your 20s or 30s with your father, it's never too late to start resolving the problem or the issue within yourself. That's always accessible and always available for us to do, is to initiate that inner work. So again, I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you found this video useful. You can subscribe, like, and share. That would be much appreciated. And if you'd like to schedule a session, you can do so through my site. That information is in the description. And I'm online at umispeaks.life. So until next time, peace.